Now I don't want to put this dry pad right onto the surface, so the first time I put it on the paint, I'm going to use a little bit more product than necessary and try and cover the majority of the pad surface in a process we call buttering. So I've got my correcting cream, and I'm just going to spread it around the face of the pad for that initial application. Now again, you don't have to get every possible place on the pad, but you want the majority of it to be covered. Now this will be too much for the area that I intend to use. However, for that first time, it's simply a good precaution to take. Now, I want to strap the cord over my shoulder as that cord touches the ground and is the dirtiest part of the machine. I don't want to drag that all around my car. And then I'll place the pad firmly on the paint, spin it to speed 3 to spread the product out initially, and then once that product is spread out, I will increase the speed and work in the polish on multiple passes. We always want to start and stop the machine on the paint so we don't fling that product all over our clothes, our garage, loved ones, whatever it may be. All right, gonna get going. So, your main chore as the operator of the machine is to simply keep the pad face flat. Now as you can see, I don't have much pressure on the machine during this initial process. I can impart more pressure, but it's really not necessary. All that does is slow down the rotation of the pad. Now I've cranked it up to speed 5, and I'm going to work it in a couple times. Speed 4 or 5 is ideal for polishing. That's a matter of your personal preference, how comfortable you are with the machine. Now I did 2 passes. A pass would be up, down, and back and forth. That would be considered 1 pass. I usually do 2 passes, wipe the excess product off, and check my work. You can also slow this machine down and turn it to an ideal wax spreader. Using speed 2 or 3 and the same techniques that I showed you for the polishing process, all you've got to change is your pad. A red foam waxing pad is incredibly soft and designed for wax application. Simply affix it, butter the pad the same way, start and stop it on the paint, and follow that same pattern. You should have a beautiful wax job in about half the time it took you to do it by hand.
Now, the Flex 3401 is a premium quality German engineered power tool. Now, it gets its name forced rotation dual action polisher because the drive mechanism is a constant drive. There's no slippage or free rotating spindle assembly like, say, a Porter Cable dual action polisher. And what that means is when you pull the trigger, the pad is not only going to rotate, but it's going to oscillate at the same time. Now, I'm going to put a pad on here and show that to you with a little arrow I've already placed on the pad. Okay, I'm going to set this down to a low speed setting. Now watch this. Okay, as you can see, it's rotating in a circle, and then inside the circle it's oscillating, making smaller circles, and this is forced rotation. What that means, if I grab this pad and go to spin it with my hand, I can feel it's under pressure. That's the direct drive mechanism inside the head unit here. And what this does is it gives you plenty of power to remove swirls, scratches, water spouts out of a clear coat finish, but at the same time it's safe because it's not just rotating a circle, it's rotating and oscillating at the same time. So that's how this unit works. Now, before we get started, this is brand new out of the box. So one of the things I want to do is I'm going to take the pad off, and just as a good maintenance procedure, I'm going to go ahead and add just a few drops of some air tool oil to the felt ring inside here. And a lot of times if you're using this and you're putting a lot of pressure on it, a little bit of oil there helps to make sure that there's no friction between the backing plate and the felt ring there. So this just comes off with a supplied Allen wrench. I'm going to pull this off. Okay, here's the felt ring right here. And anytime, if you get to where you're using these tools a lot, anytime if you're ever going to change the backing plate, it's just a good time to go ahead and at that point put a few more drops onto there. You don't need a lot, okay? Don't get this so you got so much oil on there, it's just a big mess. But just a few drops. I'm just going to take and put it right here, kind of rub my finger around that felt ring. And as this is operating, of course, it's going to be pushing that oil around there and keeping a nice smooth operation there for you. Okay, just like that. Now set this down, and we'll reattach the backing plate. We'll be ready to go to work. Okay, ready. Now the backing plate itself is right at about 5.5 inches in diameter. And what this means is you want to use a foam pad or any type of pad that's at least 6 inches to 6.5 inches in diameter, so you have a little bit of a safety margin of pads sticking out past the backing plate. That way when you're buffing on the car, you don't have to worry about running that backing plate into any portion of the car. Okay, I've got my tape lines down, and what this is for is so I'm going to buff in the center of the two tape lines here, and then after I'm done buffing, we'll pull the tape lines off and show you the dramatic before and after difference, just to give you an idea what this Flex 3401 can do. And then here's a little tip. When you're starting out with a brand new clean pad, you want to prime the pad. And you do that by placing some product onto the pad, and then just take your finger and spread this around and push this product into the pad. And the reason you want to do this is so when you turn the machine on, 100% of the pad, the entire surface of the face of this pad, is going to work for you, removing swirls and scratches. And then after you've got that completely primed, and that means the product is worked into the pad, then go ahead and add a little bit more product. And this is the product you're actually going to be working with. So again, I'll take this, and you can actually make an X pattern or circle pattern, or just put 3 dots like that on there. I'm going to place this down. I'm not going to turn it on until the pad is in contact with the paint. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this on, spread my product out, bump it back up to the 5 setting, and then start polishing. Okay, now that I've got my product spread out, or the area I'm going to work, I'm going to go ahead and bump this up to the 5 setting. And then I'm going to start making a series of what we call section passes. And that means I'm going to run from front to back and then side to side. And each time I go over this one section one time, that's one pass. And I'm going to do about 6 to 8 passes on here. Then I'm going to wipe off and inspect to see if I've removed the swirls. That'll look just like this. to let that stop spinning before I lift that off. That way I don't throw splatter anywhere. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe off the residue. Let me get a clean microfiber. And we'll check out the results. Okay. That's looking pretty good. That tool's got a lot of power. It's easy to use. And it looks like I've removed all the swirls and scratches. Now, one thing I wanted to share with you also that's unique about this tool is because it has this direct drive or this forced rotation oscillating action, what you want to do is you always want to hold this pad flat to the surface. And what happens if you hold this on the edge just a little bit, that the oscillating action will have this walking effect. It'll try to walk away from you or side to side or towards you. So while the wax here or the paint cylinder is still wet, let me just show that to you. Flat, it's easy to hold. Okay, as soon as I turn this on edge, I can feel the polisher actually trying to walk away from me. If I turn it to the right side here, now it's trying to walk towards me. And what this does is it teaches you to hold the pad flat. So it's not a bad thing, it's just a characteristic of the tool. And it just teaches you as you're operating it to always hold the pad flat to the surface. That's kind of a unique little feature about the tool that's different from other tools. And check out the results. I'm going to have the camera come in and get a close-up of this. Okay, let's bring the camera in and get a good close-up shot of the before and after results. And I think you'll agree, we have just created a flawless show car finish.